But the safety net cannot become a safety couch, a safety jacuzzi, and then a safety temple.
But did you hear
These are the talking points from the Reagan administration of that.
Who is living in a safety jacuzzi right now? They're hungry.
If we came home one night and my mom said, I'm not going to cook dinner, I'm not going to feed the kids tonight until we can agree on a health care plan for our family for the next year, would that be okay? Of course not. So listen, but
you'd have to ask my mom.
Yeah,
because
but that's not analogous
hold
to
on,
anything
no,
that
but
we're
Tiffany,
talking
with all
about.
due respect, just hold on a second. Emergency measure. This is not about affordable health care. This is about dealing with the pandemic
about affordable
at the
healthcare.
time. No,
It's absolutely about It's not, no. There is a deal on the table right now that Republicans can accept. They won't do that because they don't want to extend 1 year of subsidies to make sure that people have affordable health care.
I think it's a mistake to sit here and say that the food stamp program makes Americans better off. In 2000, there were only 17 million Americans.
The idea that parents are going to sleep tonight not knowing whether or not they're going to be able to feed their children tomorrow and maybe making decisions not to eat their own meals in order to do that, that's a horrible thing to be happening in the richest country in the world. And I just think we should just all acknowledge that.
So pass a clean bill and I think the problem's solved.
As an economist, I'm just kind of stupefied about how thus far this evening you have advocated in favor of not providing food benefits to hungry children, allowing premiums to go up to...
Hello everybody. Guys, we got Marvel's Kingpin today, and she floats like a butterfly but stings like a bee. Tiffany Cross, let's get into this segment and we'll talk about it.
Tonight, chaos at the airports, missed paychecks, and uncertainty over food stamps. It is day 38 of the government shutdown saga, and things just went from bad to worse after the FAA's decision to slash flights at the nation's busiest airports.
Would you be open to getting a backup ticket?
You had to have backup money. I don't have that.
It's absurd. I think it's a complete failure of government.
People are really hurting out here, and it's not just the traveling public, but it's affecting the whole economy, and you people are to blame.
Major airlines have already grounded hundreds of planes for tomorrow after cuts today triggered thousands of delays and cancellations. Now, in the meantime, millions of Americans are living in limbo as President Trump escalates his fight over food stamps in the courts. He's trying to get out of fully funding those November benefits, and just a short time ago, the Supreme Court let him pause full payments for now. But a temporary pause is still a pause for those who need to feed their families. So what are the chances that we'll see a resolution anytime soon? Well, Chuck Schumer says that the ball is now in Republicans' court.
Democrats are offering a very simple compromise. Leader Thune just needs to add a clean one-year extension of the ACA tax credits to the CR so that we can immediately address rising health care costs. That's not a negotiation. It's an extension of current law.
To which the majority leader responded by saying that is a non-starter. Senate lawmakers will return to session tomorrow, and Trump is urging them to stay in Washington until a deal is reached, while the president himself jetted off to his Mar-a-Lago vacation home. Joining us in our fifth seat at the table is Natasha Sarin. This fight over the food stamps is happening right now, and the Supreme Court basically said, we'll hold off on forcing you to make those payments while the lower court decides. But the optics for the American people is that the Trump administration is fighting all the way to the Supreme Court to not pay food stamps. That seems like a bad narrative, well, politically speaking.
Let's also get some data out there. The average family of four at the federal poverty level is $40,000. Right, so you already are working poor to then need this extra government assistance. And what the government has been giving these families comes out to about $6 a day per person. So this is a drop in the bucket compared to the defense budget, compared to, you know, in the private sector, the $1 trillion a year that Elon Musk is going to make. And it makes a very big difference in American families. And these programs have changed America, I would say for the better, given that this is the type of program that got the United States out of the Great Depression, made sure that the excesses of the Gilded Age didn't stick around, and that's kind of where we're back at right now with these types of events.
So the public is saying a pox on both of their houses in terms of the polling, but at the same time, again, they're hearing Trump and the administration saying, we'll figure out funding for all these other priorities, but on food stamps, they are absolutely refusing to find $9 billion, which is a relatively small amount of money in the scope of the budget to fund it. I think both things can be true at the same time. And I wonder if you think that this is a mistake to fight over this one issue on food stamps.
Well, Abby, I think it's a mistake to say.
Shut up. Guys, Elon Musk, you know, the Nazi saluting guy, he can fund SNAP benefits for 50 months. Just one person. Let that sink in. But capitalism is working just great. Nothing wrong. Tax system is perfect. Everything is good. Guys, but you know what? Let's look at the bright side, all right? At least we will have a brand new gold ballroom worth 300 million bucks. I mean, that's good, right? That helps us everyday people out, right? We will be able to enjoy that ballroom, right? How about the new bathroom Trump is renovating? Oh yeah, so that Trump and JD Vance can have bubble baths together and play pin the tail on the donkey, drink wine as they get exhausted while listening to classical music. That's nice. That's a nice visual, right? We will get to have bubble baths as well, right? As everyday Americans? No? No bubble baths for Poppy? Oh, okay. Okay. Sad.
Here and say that the food stamp program makes Americans better off. In 2000, there were only 17 million Americans on food stamps. Today, there are 42 million of them, 4 million of whom are refugees, are migrants in this country. They have TPS or refugee status. It doesn't matter. I don't think it's a good measure of the economy that more and more Americans rely on the government. What I think President Trump wants to do is build an economy where everyone can earn a dignified market wage so they don't have to rely on the government to feed their family.
But they're not doing that. Can I just say, I have personal experience with the SNAP program. People in my immediate family get it. There's a huge misconception that people don't work and they get them. There's also this horrible talking point that we're giving food stamps to people who are here, undocumented migrants, which is also not true. 4 out of 5 households who receive food stamp benefits have an older person, someone with a disability, or a child. Now, imagine this. The Supreme Court is saying Trump can pause this. So if he is winning, who's losing are hungry children. Also, I will tell you, the people in my family who get food stamp benefits, I subsidize. They get such little money. There are all kinds of things you can't buy, cleaning products. Think about everything you use on a daily basis if you don't have income. You're saying if people, they should make a livable wage, they'd be able to buy that. Well, they can't do that. And if we're looking at inflation, where people are spending over $200 more a month on groceries, thanks to his horrible immigration policies, thanks to his tariffs, then how are people supposed to do that? There are college graduates getting these benefits who are going hungry right now, who can't feed their children. The only answer could be, let's
here's the thing. This is not by accident. This is part of, very clearly written out in Project 2025, the Heritage Foundation, cutting summer feeding programs because apparently feeding hungry children in the summer is not a great idea. That wouldn't boost the economy.
James, respond, because
Well, I want to agree with Tiffany 100%. I grew up for a short period of time on the food stamp program as well, so I can sympathize with that. The truth of the matter is we have to have an honest conversation. We are all for, I think, at this table, a safety net. But the safety net cannot become a safety couch, a safety jacuzzi, and then a safety temper heating.
These are the talking points from the Reagan administration of that.
Who is living in a safety jacuzzi right now? They're hungry.
I mean, James, I take that is an argument, that a conversation that needs to be had. But in the moment, the conversation actually that we're having is not about whether food stamps should exist. It's about whether people who are currently on the program should get the funding that for food that they're allotted under the law. So that other conversation is for another time. The question is, right now, you know, people are on this program. As Tiffany said, the statistics bear out. Children, elderly people, and people with disabilities are predominantly the recipients of food stamps. The president is making a statement himself that he does not think that this should be funded. And I wonder, on the, not just from a political perspective, but just from a human perspective, when that message gets out to regular people who are Americans, many of them his own voters, that just seems really callous.
Yeah, I think there's probably a bunch of snappers.
Guys, you hear that? Snap jacuzzi. Like, guys, I grew up on welfare. I have a close understanding with it. My mom was a single mother of 5. All her kids went to school. All her kids ended up going to college. Like, we would not have effing survived. There's just no way. I don't know how people are doing it now. Like Tiffany Cross says, some members of the family would have to subsidize it that are working or making a little bit more money, right? So that the middle class are being dropped down to the lower class, to the lower income class, as they try to, you know, help family members out. I understand that life. The first few jobs, I used to give all my money to my mom, literally all of it. But guys, and I know you all know this, but the shamelessness of these people. That other dude that was talking, not Kingpin over here, the CEO of some company, I can only assume he's doing quite well for himself. After he said he was on Snap himself, so disgusting. Mr. Fishback, that's his name. Unbelievable name, but unbelievable greed. Like, I just can't comprehend it. If I'm worth millions or making even a couple $100,000 a year, I'm more beyond than set. The need to make millions and billions, I truly will never comprehend. I truly would feel a level of guilt amassing that level of wealth. Knowing, right? Like, knowing people are starving in my own country, my own people. Because I needed to have multiple thousands of times more wealth than my fellow people. That I'm willing to let them starve. Like, they shut down the effing government, ripped people's SNAP benefits away and Medicaid away early in the year with the big, beautiful bill. Biggest cut on a government program ever. Again, for what? For what? So that the super rich again get a tax cut. While we don't even get effing crumbs. The greed is truly, truly mind-blowing.
Recipients that were voters for Donald Trump. My home state of Pennsylvania, you saw Josh Shapiro put another $5 million into the budget to throw another $5 million up to cover this stopgap measure. It's really a legal issue. I mean, you just saw Justice Jackson come and stay that order from the lower court so that the circuit court could evaluate it. And it really is, you know, can a court compel the federal government to go to the mattresses, if you will, when the money hasn't been appropriated yet? So it's really a fundamental question about appropriations versus this whole policy debate that we're having at this table about SNAP benefits.
I just want to say that this is the first disruption of SNAP benefits in the program's 61-year history. And so, as like a
also the
human
longest shutdown in government history.
Many of us are parents of young children. The idea that parents are going to sleep tonight not knowing whether or not they're going to be able to feed their children tomorrow and maybe making decisions not to eat their own meals in order to do that, that's a horrible thing to be happening in the richest country in the world. And I just think we should just all acknowledge that.
Pass a clean bill, and I think the problem's solved.
As an economist, what I can tell you is that these consequences of the longest government shutdown in history are going to reverberate on these kids who are going to learn less well in school because they're not being able to get nutrition that they need, and whose parents are going to be under the stress of not being able to provide for them. So I just think we should grapple with what some of the choices that policymakers are making from the perspective of their likely economic impact, which we're already starting to see.
So the Democrats should stop holding the government hostage.
It's not, no. There is a deal on the table right now that Republicans can accept. They won't do that because they don't want to extend 1 year of subsidies to make sure that people have affordable health care. So you're going to have people who are deciding, do I spend $500 to go to a doctor or do I buy groceries? And those same people are the people you guys are saying are living in a safety jacuzzi. And some of these people are your voters. More than half the people in the marketplace live in Republican congressional districts. A part of me feels like you're getting the government you voted for. But the human in me can see the humanity in these people more so than I've seen other people be able to extend and say they don't deserve to be without health care. And that's a serious issue.
Agreed.
Tiffany, but just to be completely honest, for everyone at home listening right now, you deserve to know the full context. The full context is this. These Obamacare subsidies were created by Joe Biden in March of 2021 with the American Rescue Plan. The Democrats pushed them through on an emergency basis. And as we know, Jim, there's nothing more permanent in Washington, D.C. than a temporary emergency measure. This is not about affordable health care. This is about dealing with the pandemic at the time. No,
but at the time,
you have Marjorie Taylor Greene. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene acknowledging.
I don't give a shit about Marjorie. She also says she loves Trump just this week. So I don't trust her one bit. She's power hungry and that's it. And guys, these SNAP benefits, I think I should tell you this. Right, like I grew up on EBT. It was called EBT, welfare, whatever. Guys, when that money would come in, it still wasn't enough. It wasn't like it lasted the whole month. They don't give you enough, right, for even food. So you still have to ration. Could you imagine not having it at all? For those out there that grew up on welfare as well, could you imagine? I remember, guys, when the funding would come in each month, it was like effing Christmas. We could finally have food in the fridge other than just rice. I'm not kidding. Rice and bologna and milk. Like, these people don't, they're so out of touch. I don't, it's not that they're out of touch. They just don't give a shit. These Republicans do not give a crap. Enough people do not care. This has to be the fight the Democrats have. Literally talk about nothing else other than affordability. Go to the midterms with that idea and the presidency. While these idiots will jump to attack, woke this and that, and continue with their bigoted crap, that's their go-to move. It's not to say not to focus on that or call them out, but just not it be the focal point. Let the focal point be how everyone is broke as F, and we're sick of it. In fact, let us YouTubers handle those bigots. We're better at it. You politicians focus on affordability and that message. Call them simple-minded bigots and move on when asked about it. And talk about, again, how broke as shit everyone is.
That Republicans have lost the narrative on talking about healthcare across the board. The number one issue that undecided voters, all voters of all stripes, care about is healthcare. And I will absolutely, as someone who served in the Obama administration, tell you that Obamacare increased accessibility. It did not increase affordability. So there is a problem with the program.
So the Affordable Care Act did not work. The Affordable Care Act did not work.
At the end of the day, you have people now, you have a Congress in place, that a majority Republican Congress that has decided to make the message choose between health care and hunger. That is a terrible message.
Okay, let me, one second. The American people, we've asked them in some polling that's been ongoing. It's pretty much evenly split about whether or not they think that the subsidies should be extended. And that seems about where the country is on this. There are a lot of Americans who do want them to be extended. But when you compare it to 2019, when Donald Trump and Republicans shut down the government over a border wall, 71% of Americans at that time said that the government should be reopened without funding the border wall. In other words, this healthcare issue is a lot more potent than the border wall issue, which, by the way, Republicans shut the government down over this issue. And it's because Americans are actually facing extreme increases in their healthcare costs. And we can argue about whether Obamacare is good or bad, but that is just a fact that everybody acknowledges. And Republicans acknowledge will need to be dealt with. I don't know that it works to say to the American people, we need to win on the principle of this, when at the end of the day, you all also understand that you're probably going to have to fix this problem one way or another.
100% have to fix the problem. Increases up to 80% on premiums. That needs to be fixed. And there's no question that this was meant to be a temporary measure. Democrats couldn't get the votes to make it a permanent measure when they passed it the first time. But now it's in both of their courts. The Democrats are holding this hostage over this one particular issue that Republicans have come to the table and said, we'll fix it. But pass a clean bill and we'll fix it. Thune has come to the table and said it.
I mean, I think
Senator
part of the
McCormick
issue
has
is
come to the table and said it needs to be fixed.
But some of the issue is a lack of trust, because this is an administration that has just taken money from the budget and decided to slash it after Congress has appropriated it. So if you're a Democrat, it is kind of hard.
But look where they started. It was a total money grab from the beginning. Now we're all the way down to just this one single issue of extending it for a year so that we can have this fight a year from now. Figure it out right now.
Nobody has clean hands in this, okay? Republicans have passed tax cuts.
Of course.
That are temporary. And then when they're set to expire, they have then said that we can't possibly let them expire, because then people would experience taxes increase.
Absolutely. I think there's Republicans agreeing.
Nobody's hands are clean here in that sort of budgetary.
Of course, but think of it this way.
This bald dumbass, Kingpin, to call it a money grab, it's just incredible to me. And they call these things entitlements and stuff like that, when 70% of the wealth in this country is concentrated in the top 10%. And we give those efforts tax breaks. The richest 400 families in this country paid an 8% tax rate. I mean, like, this is, and what is that? That's not entitlement, right? What the hell is that's highway robbery. The rich are effing thieves. This is the easiest way the Democrats should word this. They are thieves. The reason we pay so high is because they pay so little. We are subsidizing the rich. Oh yeah, Republicans will fix health care. Sure, by ripping it away from anyone who isn't wealthy enough to have it. Oh yeah, that's fixing it. Or what did Trump say? 2 weeks he will unveil a plan, right? In his effing first term, he said that. Like Tesla said a few days ago when she was on the panel. It's like when a man tells her, "Don't worry, don't don't worry, I'll call you in the morning." Yeah. If they were genuine about fixing it, the subsidies, they would just agree to them. They keep saying, open the government first, and then we'll do the subsidies. You would have to be an effing buffoon to believe that they would agree to those. And to trust this party that only agrees to whatever Trump says. These people are spineless. Republicans will screw the American people over their health care without a doubt. How do I know? They already did with the Medicaid and the SNAP cuts earlier in the year. And look at now what they're doing with SNAP. These are funds that were already appropriated by Congress. And he's holding a hostage. These people are gross.
Wait, growing up, my mom always cooked dinner. My mom and dad would fight about healthcare all the time, about what plan we were going to have for our family. If we came home one night and my mom said, I'm not going to cook dinner, I'm not going to feed the kids tonight until we can agree on a healthcare plan for our family for the next year, would that be okay? Of course not. So listen, but
you would
Abby,
have to ask your mom.
Abby, but,
Yeah,
because
but that's not analogous
but hold
to
on,
anything
no,
that
but
we're
Tiffany,
talking
with all
about.
due respect, just hold on a second. John Thune, who I'm no fan of, I'm no fan of this country club Republican style that's rejected the middle class for far too long. What John Thune has said is, reopen the government, and then let's have an earnest debate.
Were you here in 2019? Were you here in 2019?
I was alive, yeah.
When Republicans shut down the government and said we are not going to when the president actually said I am not going to fund the government until I get my border wall. Were you here when that happened?
I was.
So then do you remember that this actual tactic of shutting down the government in order to get a negotiation on an ancillary issue is one that has been with us for some time?
I agree.
And that Republicans have repeatedly used to shut down the government during a Republican administration.
I am not going to be a defender of the do-nothing Republicans or the know-nothing Democrats. Congress has a record low approval rating for a reason. Americans at home are doing all the right things. They're working harder than ever, and they can't get by. But the truth is, the government shutdown is the responsibility of Democrats at this moment in time.
How?
To come
There's a deal on the table.
The deal on the table.
Natasha, let me let you get a word in, and then we're going to go to
As
break.
an advocate of doing things for the working class, I'm just kind of stupefied about how thus far this evening you have advocated in favor of not providing food benefits to hungry children, allowing premiums to go up to double for many Americans in this country.
Double compared to when?
Double compared to the life that they are experiencing right now. And honestly,
double
this is
compared to
can I
the
just say something,
emergency
James? Can I just say one thing, James?
All right,
This is a president that just won an election in 2024 because the American people were frustrated that the costs that they were experiencing every day when they went to the grocery store were too high. The idea that in response to that election, you want to enact the most inflationary policies in our lifetimes with these tariffs.
Joe Biden, inflation was 5.9% over those 4 years. Since President Trump took office, headline CPI has been 1.8%.
We're going to hit pause on this because we have a lot more to discuss.
That guy's literal argument was when he was talking about his mom cooking. It was, do you rather eat? Would you rather eat or have health care? Like, if that's not holding it hostage, what is it? Like, these people are incredibly disgusting. As a CEO, this dude is talking like that. Someone who supposedly was on SNAP benefits. These people, so many people in this country have this close the door mentality in their minds. It's the same thing with immigration. Well, I've made it here now. I want to close the door behind me, right? And guys, look at the differences in the shutdown. One is so people don't get their health care taken away. Millions of people. The other is shut down the government because they wanted the funding for a wall that wouldn't have done shit about border control. Like, let these idiots keep talking about wanting to cut people's benefits and not eat. And that the economy is going great. Everything is great. Tariffs are great, right? And the truth is they will have to strategically because Trump is lying to everyone that everything is perfect and affordability is great. Prices are coming down. And Republicans won't want to defy him because they're little cowards. Right? And so the Dems, again, this is the fight, affordability, and how Republicans are trying to rip away your benefits. Because that's all you have left to take. They're literally trying to take food now out of your mouth. Again, Republicans are of lower income in this country. Republicans out there, they're starving you to death. This is incredible that you continue to vote for these buffoons because your bigotry blinds you so much. Incredible. But this is the thing. Republicans are two things. This is what they're two things. On one side, they're the party of the super rich. And on the other side, they're the brutally, poorly educated. This is the two types of people in this party right now. Taxing the rich has got to be on every Democrat politician's agenda. And just about every speaking appearance. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. And this whole inflation, whatever. The inflation was under Trump because of his handling of COVID again. Like, and when he's right back in office, and what a surprise. Inflation is going back up. When we were on a down trajectory when Biden left. Like, unbelievable. I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Please leave a like, subscribe. Really helps the channel. Really helps spread the message out there. And I'll catch you in the next one.